Hello and welcome to ThePrint. Today we have with us Mr. Dipak Kumar Singh, who is a director at Bunkerhill, which is one of the principal investors into one of Asia's oldest football clubs, Mohammedan Sporting Club. Mohammedan Sporting Club, which is considered to be one of the big three in Calcutta, just recently won the second division in India, the I League, and is now preparing itself to make it to the Indian Super League from next year as the 13th club in India's top football league. The history of Mohammedan Sporting starts from 1891, and in 1934 they were the first native Indian club to win the Calcutta League, and they won it 7 times in the next 8 years. And from the 1930s and 1940s, you see a rise of a different brand of football in India, one run by native clubs. Of course, later on, we have Mohun Bagan, we have East Bengal, we have the Kolkata Derby between these two teams. But Mohammedan was always considered to be a part of the big three. And through its long history, it is known for its resilience and its adaptation of the time. And we have with us Mr. Singh to talk about the journey going forward for this club. Thank you again, Mr. Singh, for joining the print.
Thank you for the inviting for this interview. It's my pleasure to be part of this interview.
So, my first question, Bunker Hill started its investments in Mohammedan in 2020, if I remember correctly. So, why Mohammedan? What brought Bunker Hill to Mohammedan, given its history? And I believe that you're the first outside principal investors in that sense. So, what brought Bunker Hill to Mohammedan Sporting?
See, it was a long story, but when we started our company Bunker in 2016, and we started investing in, we were identifying different sports where we want to invest. So we created a small fund and we started investing. And then we were approached by Mohammedan Sporting Club because at that time there was some change in the club and they wanted to do well, and they have gone through a really bad phase, almost 25 to 27 years. And they wanted to come back to the football scene again in India. And when we did a small research, then we identified that Mohammedan Sporting was one of the clubs in India who has still got the pan-Asia fan base. So we have a strong feeling that any sports is driven by its fans, right? If you have a fan following who go to the stadium and watch the match, then you consider that game to be successful. Sitting at home and watching a game is not, I don't consider that as a success, because when somebody takes time out from their busy life and then go to a stadium and watch and enjoys the game, those are the true fans. So then we identified, we went through some of their games which were not Premier Division at that time, and there was strong fan following of this particular club. So after doing a lot of research and evaluation, then we decided that we have to bring this club back because these fans deserve this club to be back in the Premier Division.
Right. And given its history and its long history, and it was a club that in 2013-14 filed for bankruptcy. The following year, if I remember correctly, it got relegated as well from the I League. Right? So, what changed or what was identified that in 2020 that a club that had about 30 years of financial troubles may not necessarily have been at its sporting best? Right? What then made your team believe that this is a club that can be successful once again, and how have you gone forward to achieve something like this?
So the biggest change happened in the mindset of the club administrators. Before 2018, club been run through public money. So they were all donating, and whatever fund was used to generate, they used to run the club using that money. But they kept on seeing that all other big twos, Mohan Bagan, East Bengal, started reaching out to investors, and they went on to for the corporatization of the football. And they realized that if they won't go for that change, and they may have to struggle a lot in coming years. So they have already seen it once in 2014, as you said, for bankruptcy. So the change in mindset in the administrator helped this, that okay, this club is ready to take private investors if we need to survive in Indian football. And that decision helped us to be one of, we were lucky to be part of that particular journey. And it good that from third division in 3 years we are back into the premier division of Indian football.
Right. And the thing about Mohammedan Sporting is that it has always had strong community roots. Throughout its history, it was always considered to be a very progressive, community driven club with a large fan following from, in Calcutta, a large progressive fan following. So, with the corporatization, with this idea of growing the club, making it profitable, winning trophies, how do you look to maintain that strong community links? Because it has always been known to be a very powerful community club.
See, if you see, when we did the investment, we could have easily added our name into the club name. Like we could have called it Bunkerhill Mohammedan SC or Mohammedan Bunkerhill SC. So that's the first thing that we didn't do. We really feel the value of this particular brand that has been created in 133 years, and that culture being created with this brand itself. So we kept the same name, and we went ahead with the keeping the same brand and same logo for 4 years, and we were there. And we want to continue this thing. Whosoever comes next, or they come as a supporting investor or major investor, whosoever comes, we will have the same philosophy. That see, we this is a public club, right? We are ready to take the investment, but we need to consider the cultural value. Why this club has survived for? We all need to agree that why this club has survived 233 years, and if it has survived just because of one of the prime pillar could have been its community root and its culture. So with modernization in football, when you say modernization, is all about the functioning of the club, like how players will be selected, how team will run, how their traveling and other operations will be managed. But operation doesn't means that you will let go the culture, the way we used to engage with fans, the way our players used to engage with fans. I'll tell you some great examples. Like after winning this league, player our players being invited at fan clubs, fan houses for dinner. They are showering gift on them. So this is the culture, because they feel connected with the players, and we want this culture to kept on happening in the coming years as well, where we'll try to keep the culture and the fan engagement the way it is in coming years, so that we can get more diversified from here. Because we must agree, due to being they not being there in last 25 years, we have lost some fans as well, and we need to bring them back. And we're already seeing the now in last 2 years, our 70% fans that are coming for the games are from 18 to 24-year-old. So that is the biggest achievement I feel in terms of from getting promoted to ISL, that we are able to achieve, that we are able to bring back that youth to watch the game from the stadium again.
Right. And before the interview, you were telling me that you would have about 40, 45,000, 50,000 fans turn up for games that may not necessarily be trophy winning games, but just your average attendance. But saying that, how much of, when we look at football in West Bengal, it's been something that's a political priority. There has been a lot of time, effort, and investment on behalf of the government to promote the sport, be it with East Bengal previously or Mohan Bagan, and now with Mohammedan Sporting coming to the ISL. What is the kind of support that you have received from the state government, and why? Why is the West Bengal government so keen to see the big three from Calcutta in Indian football?
See, when you say political, uh, it suggests that tell us about their culture as well. If you see, Bengal has always been, whatever government has come and gone, and always been a sporting hub of India, right? Where any sports is a household thing. They have been always following cricket, football, soccer, other Olympic games and all. And that's what the current government feel as well, that if we need to keep the culture alive of Bengal, then we have to support sports. And whenever that you think about sports in Kolkata, these three clubs always comes on the top, right? They being 133-year-old, and she knows, and the government understands, if we need to keep the basic culture of Bengal alive, they have to support these clubs. And that's what, and she herself loves sports a lot. And let me be very honest, like she has a lot of even her slogan is all about khela hobe, is all about sports, right? So she understands sports, she loves sports, and she wants the sporting culture to be developed and to stay consistent for coming years as well. And that's why we have been lucky that these clubs are part of Bengal.
Right. And now coming to, we're talking about football, community, state support. When we're looking at Mohammedan Sporting going forward, right? Is there any specific plans on how, say, a 3 to 5 year goal, right? Where do you wish to see Mohammedan now that you've achieved the Indian Super League? Where next, right? But added to that, when we come to the sporting side of things, what is the sort of main cultural values in terms of the sporting sense that you know you wish to see within Mohammedan Sporting, because clubs are famous for this, whether it's FC Barcelona or Manchester United. There's this idea that germinates, this is who we are. So in that sense, who is Mohammedan Sporting today?
See, for Bunker Hill, it will be a dream, when we will be able to develop players from our grassroots who is under 8, under 10, under 12, promoted from grassroots to under 19, 13 team, under 15, under 17, under 19, play for a club, and then we have at least 3 to 4 players from our club playing for our country. That's our biggest dream that we want to achieve, that we want to develop our own players. Once they are developed, we want to give them platform to perform. Once they are successful, they are talented, good enough to play for country, they should make India proud, and that's our biggest goal. So if you see Mohammedan, uh, we have been following a certain philosophy how we want to play football. And if you go ahead and watch our games 3 years back and this year itself or the last game, you will see a same playing style that we have been following. And although we have taken it a top to bottom approach, generally in Europe it's always bottom to top approach, but we were it's a very short span of time that we have been able to spend time with Mohammedan. That we have started from the senior team. Now it's being same strategy, same philosophy is there in a reserve team. Now it's being passed upon to our under 19, under 13. And coming years, you will see that we will keep the same strategy where we'll have at least 10 to 15 academies, football academies all across India, where this particular fan base is more dominating. We want to have at least 10 to 15 academies and to have a single philosophy how we are able to develop and identify player. So that in future the scouting and promoting these small kids is going to be, because any ISL team, the apart from winning trophies, we have a strong feeling we club has a responsibility of developing players as well. We can't always play for trophies. If we know that if I am able to develop players, and that's making India, giving India a strong team, and if India is doing well, then definitely it is good for our our game, our club as it only, because commercially it adds a lot of value as well.
Right. And that brings me to my next question, and it's whether it's, this idea of having a Mohammedan way, having your players represent India. It's been close to almost half a decade now, with you a part of professional football here in India. And what are the three biggest challenges as a club, as someone who owns and runs a club in Indian football? What are the three biggest challenges you've had to face? Uh, because you, like you said, it's all three divisions. You've played third division, I League, and now you're going into the ISL. So you have that sense of, what are the challenges faced in across Indian club. So, in that sense, could you share the three biggest challenges that you face?
So biggest challenge first and foremost is the sponsorship. Any sports is successful, they need money to run, and as far as sponsorship comes through the viewership. So the biggest problem with the Indian football is that although in terms of the data, football is the second largest watched viewed sports in India, but most of the India is or the youngsters are following European football or World Cups, FA, South American football, because the quality difference, right? So although we are even playing in Premier Division in I League, the viewership is not as great as it used to be. The second challenge I'll feel that based on a recent study, it shows that only 9 states in India plays football, which combines it's around 20% of Indian population, of which only 5 states has almost 80% uh, players playing from the India team playing from only 5 states. So although India is such a big, huge country, but only a small percentage of states or region is supporting football. Although we have federations in almost all the states in India, but all federations are not doing their due, which they should be doing. So in terms of, I'll say in terms of numbers, we can do a lot, and we can diversify itself, because justifying our numbers as an as a country to have bigger volume, bigger numbers to identify our talent. And third and biggest challenge, I think this is one of the primary challenge in India, is the infrastructure. When you talk about infrastructure, it comes from football grounds to the quality of coaches, and in terms of availability of like games, the playing time. Most of the places, the grounds are not even good enough to play street level football, but you will see state leagues and district leagues being run on those grounds. And how can we expect player to develop if they will be playing on those kind of ground conditions? Most of the team doesn't have physios. Most of the team doesn't have strength conditioning coaches. So the biggest challenge at the moment is the infrastructure. Some states are doing a great job, like Bengal and Odisha and Kerala. They are supporting because soccer is pretty dominant there. But others like states need to come up, in supporting the second largest sports in India, in developing infrastructure so that more and more kids can play soccer.
Right. And the first challenge you said, sponsorship, viewership. And here's my question to that. And I think you also said, there's quality football to be watched when we look at elsewhere. And some may argue that that's not what you get when you put on Indian football. So, how do you then deal with that? This idea that watching a I League game or watching a Indian Super League game is not a product that may necessarily have, quality the way the Indian Premier League or IPL has in its sport when we have access to the European leagues, the South American leagues. So in that sense, how do you, then get those fans to watch Indian football?
See, there are two ways we can do it. The first thing that is already happening. First, Mohan Bagan came in when ISL started. Mohan Bagan, this big three was not there. Now they are part of this. They will be part of this ISL journey as well. So first Mohan Bagan came, then East Bengal came, and then Mohammedan is coming, and they have got their hardcore fans that they have been following for their generations. So definitely, if they are there in ISL, they will watch the game. Just a game finished yesterday between Mohan Bagan and Mumbai City. The audience was 67,000 in one game, right? Not even a derby it was, right? So adding these, because they have been there for 100 years, they have a strong fan following, we need to bring them. That will increase the average attendance in most of the games of ISL. And if average attendance goes up, other benefits are there, already there, commercially and other aspect as well. Second thing is, like, if you see in ISL, there has been a change. Initially when ISL started, we used to have only big names, but they were on the verge of ending their career, or they have already ended their career. But if you see ISL in last 3 years, European boy, all the international foreign players, they are at the age of 20, 21, 24, 28. When are they are in their prime, they are also coming and playing in India. So that trend has changed. That ISL is all about the older stars to come and play. That trend has changed, and this has game recently. If you see, the ISL games has become very entertaining. Just that a perception has been made. Initially, I think, and people still follow. Oh, ISL, it's all about, it's an entertainment league. And that has really impacted ISL. But now I feel ISL is not all about that. We have players who are young, who are talented, and game has quality, being that's being on display. And but slowly, people will realize that with time, with more teams coming in, and I strongly feel ISL should have at least 16 teams, with the bringing more I Leagues team in ISL, who have fan followings. This will slowly and steadily, it's all about word of mouth. If one is watching, you always feel four others will watch soon. So that's what we need to follow.
Right. And, you know, when we're talking about creating this fan following, I just wanted to ask, you said that Mohammedan Sporting has pan India or had pan India following. And given its slump for about 20, 25 years, you conceded that you've lost fans and now you have to bring them back. So, what, as a club, how do you see engagement with fans? How important is it? What are the things that you're looking to do or are already doing to sort of ensure that the fan experience, they are a part of the core identity of the club?
See, one of the things that we did in Calcutta, right? When we started again, we went back to all the fan clubs. There were 18 fan clubs in Calcutta, and each fan clubs has like 4 to 5,000 members. See, only when I went there, it was only 3 fan clubs they were active, and all were almost dormant. They were not doing any activity as such, because they are our change agents. Who go in the field, talk to the fans, talk to the players. They do word of mouth. Whenever game is there, they pull them from their home to come to the stadium, right? So we activated them. Initially, we did this in Calcutta. Our plan is to do it in India as well. We have identified that we have at least 24 more fan clubs in our list that we know that exist in that used to exist in all across India. So we'll activate them first, and we'll make them the agents, change agent for us to bring back. We'll support them monetarily. We'll support different ways, some kind way, support them with cash and kind, say some other ways, we incentivize them. We'll do fan engagement activities with them, like calling them for ISL games for free, one of the matches, those fan clubs, to have the experience, so that they can go back and share their experience. So we have a detailed plan. Apart from that, like, yeah, nowadays social media is a strong tool to communicate. Influencers are there to communicate. So we'll follow those path. And especially when you talk about influencers, it's all about our ex players who has played for India, because those old fans are still following those old legends that we have created, right? And we want them to be part of this change process. We'll communicate with them. We'll send them all the information needed, so that they can spread the knowledge around the area to their followers, so that our expand and those fans can be brought back again.
Right. And this is my last question. And so, from what I understand, Mohammedan Sporting, and we had spoken about this a little bit earlier in terms of its community, but as a outside owner, because Bunkerhill is not necessarily from or made up of individuals from the same community or the same neighborhoods that grew up watching Mohammedan Sporting, right? And talking about how to increase fan engagement. So, as an outside owner, different communities, how do you see the role of Mohammedan as a change agent, right? As someone who's not from the same neighborhood, community, this, how do you really see and how has it worked out? How have the fans taken in the changes that are coming. So, what is that sort of change agent that sort of Bunker Hill and Mohammedan Sporting is aiming to achieve at this through this sort of exchanges?
See, one thing I would like to say, like in the history of Mount Sporting, they have always been a very progressive club, right? And this is one of the greatest example, that then when they were struggling a lot, they, although we were not part of their community, they open-handedly welcomed us for the support, and we got the same love. Like we love we our company is being loved like any other person in the club, right? We have been, because I strongly believe if the club is all about sports, right? Yes, they do come from a particular community. Like an example, I'll give you an example of any European club from a particular village, right? They all from same village. That's why they go there and support that particular. There's always we need one unique factor that combines them together, right? And this is what it is in this particular club. There's nothing second thing about it, right? And this club has always been a sporting club who wants to support Indian football, and they had given us some of the big names of Indian football like Sabir Ali and all other big names that has played for India. So they have been part of Indian football journey, and definitely they this community this particular club going into ISL will be an example to show to how this India is all about. We give equal opportunity to everyone, right? And this community will get a chance to support their team in the Premier Division of Indian football. That's going to be very beautiful, and that will show a great message to the world that India is all about diversity. So yeah, I do feel like people will recognize this fact, and they'll appreciate this about this particular club.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh, for this wonderful interview and this conversation on one of the great football clubs of India that, as he said, 133 years, a long history through the 1920s, the 1930s, and now it's opening a new page through the 2020s. Looking forward to seeing more of Mohammedan Sporting when it comes to Indian football. So, thank you for joining the print.